Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I Can Do mindset when it comes to faith, family, fitness, and food. Let's go. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
Hello and welcome to another episode of I Can Do. I am Benjamin Lee. I hope and pray all is well with you. Well, it was a piece of advice that my wife, Nikki, gave to me, and I'm thinking back, it may have been in January of this year, or it may have been in January of last year. This year has been a really long year, so it's sometimes difficult to remember everything. But I believe it was New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, where I think I was just kind of hanging around the house. I was trying to figure out what to do. I may have been frustrated as well. And that's when my wife told me, or said two words: get lost. Now, she didn't mean this in a negative way. She didn't mean this to hurt me or anything like that. She meant it rather for my benefit. That I needed to get lost. That I needed to change something, change up my routine, get out of the house, do something different just to kind of get my mind off of things. So I ended up going to the YMCA, and it was New Year's Day. I believe they were open, and I played basketball by myself. There was no one or hardly anyone in the gym, but I got lost for a few hours. I just got in the car and drove there and just had some time to myself. So that piece of advice really did help me out at that moment. And it's something that I've been thinking about and considering really throughout this year, especially now even more so when you think about the pandemic and the quarantine and how our schedules have changed so much. So a couple of weeks ago, I had another opportunity to get lost, where a friend of mine has a guest house, and I was able to go to Arizona for a few days just to kind of relax, to get a new environment, to think a little bit, to de-stress. And it was something that was really good for me as I think about really the remainder of this year. So this episode is really all about encouraging you to get lost. Maybe you're finding yourself a little bit frustrated, burnt out, angry. Maybe you just need to change your scenery for a little bit. I know there are some like Bill Gates who will, I think once a year, go somewhere for a week and just to think and to read and to plot what he's going to do, to lay out what he wants to do in the next year. There's something beneficial about getting lost. And maybe sometimes you can't go 1 week or even 2 days, but maybe you can find different ways to get lost where you are at this very moment. Part of that may just be changing up your routine. I think one of the biggest things all of us can do, we get so comfortable with the same routine, whether it's driving to work, watching the same television shows, having the same things that we do every day. So maybe you mix it up a little bit. Maybe you just go in a different direction to work tomorrow, or to the grocery store, or wherever you may be driving these days. But the idea is to get lost. The idea is to mix something up, to get your creative juices flowing again, to de-stress and to maybe take a step back and to consider where you might be or even where you need to be. Maybe that is going 30 minutes away where you can get a hotel room for the night. Or maybe you and your spouse go somewhere. Nikki and I, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we just did an overnight trip near Dallas. But it was an opportunity for us just to get away. It was an opportunity for us to get lost together and to connect and just to have a little bit different perspective. In fact, it was very interesting because that was the first time this year that we've been in a hotel. And with everything going on, obviously there's so many different changes taking place, but it was really fun because what we typically do not do at home is watch a lot of television, but that gave us an opportunity to do so and to watch some movies together and things like that. Get lost. You have to give yourself that permission to take a day off, take 3 days off, or even take a week off if you need to turn your phone off for 2 or 3 hours, but then obviously to turn it back on so you can listen to this podcast, right? But to turn it off for at least a few hours, to do something different. Maybe you mix up when you're going to wake up. If you have been sleeping in more than normal, maybe you push yourself to wake up a little bit earlier so you can have some more quiet time. Maybe you talk to your spouse about some kind of trip that you want to put together over the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks or couple of months where you can get away. And it may not even be an overnight trip. It could just be going somewhere different throughout the day. My point is, get lost. And I think when you do, you will find yourself feeling more refreshed, energized, and probably more creative, where you'll have a better perspective about the challenges, the difficulties, the exciting things that you may have to look forward to in the coming days, weeks, and months. So, to Nikki, I say thank you very much for telling me to get lost. And now to all of you who are listening, I would encourage you to listen to the words of Nikki as well. Get lost and see how that may be a benefit for you wherever you may be. Thank you for tuning in. I certainly appreciate it. If you can, leave me a review. You can find this podcast on Amazon now. You can find it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the major platforms. Be sure to check out my website, benjaminlee.blog, where you can find all of my podcasts along with hundreds of blogs as well. Take care and God bless. And remember, I can do, and so can you.